Good afternoon, Trade Pros. Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome back, guys, here to our Futures Afternoon Update. Coming back to you guys after a bit of a miss here yesterday. I do apologize on that front. I was switching my data feeds, and if you do trade, you will know that your access gets restricted real quick when you submit that change request. And so I'm on Rhythmic now, and we are back at it today. So what we're going to take a look at first is back to our usual schedule. We are going to take a look at some of the news that came out after the morning update. Then we'll take a look at what's scheduled, if anything, for the remainder of the session. And then we'll jump onto our quote boards, onto our pivot charts, onto our range bar charts, look at some key levels, and we'll go from there. So let's get started here, guys. What I'm seeing right now, our morning update comes out at 9 a.m. So we'll take a look at what hit the wires after that time. And I see we had the Richmond Manufacturing Index came in at 9:59 a.m. We had a actual number of 3 versus 10 expected. And we also had a new home sales that came in at 10 a.m., 692,000 versus 647,000 expected. So that came in a little bit more bullish than forecasted. And as you guys can see, if you've been following the markets today, SPOs have been on an absolute tear higher. Let's just take a look here, see if I missed anything. No. Richmond Fed Manufacturing, 3 versus volume of new orders, -2 versus 9 prior. And we covered the new home sales as well. So that's all that we had for today. As far as the remainder of the session, I do not see anything scheduled. So that will mean the markets will be playing along with technicals. And it's always, like I mentioned in these updates, it's always handy to have a new squawk if you will be day trading that way. If there are any tape bombs drop on the headlines, on the wires, you're able to adjust there and get yourself positioned correctly. So with that said, we will switch over to my charts now. Let me just find where I'm sitting. Let's get onto the charts here, screen 2, and there we go. So here we are, guys. We're on the charts, and what you'll notice right in front of you here, as I open up my little pen tool, here she is. Perfect. So my pen tool, you'll see you've got the SPOs here, 693,000 contracts traded thus far. We are seeing daily change percentage of 0.89. For the session, so this includes the Globex price action. So we are up 0.88% on the session. And crude oil, what you're seeing here, 514,000 contracts so far this session, and we're up 1%. So that is what the quote board is showing us. As far as averages are concerned, seeing just about on average volume here for what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. SPOs could be a bit higher, around 750, 800, but we're getting near that number now. And crude oil, just about on average, 550,000 to 600,000 is what we've been seeing around this time of the update. So with that said, let's get onto our pivot charts here, have a quick peek at what these markets are doing. What you'll see right away here, this is our crude oil chart. Let's get that pen back in handy here. There we go. So this is our crude oil chart, CLM 9 on the June contract here. You are seeing we are right at R1 resistance. R1's coming in at 66.45 at the moment. And you can see we are sitting between that pivot and that R1 pivot coming in at 65.25. You can see we came on the pit open here, sold off, didn't quite get down to the pivot, made a low at the 65.58, and that's that low right there. And we've since pushed up into the R1, currently finding some resistance up there. We did get as high as, what was it, 66.60 it looks like on the chart, before pressing back down into those 66.30s. So watching for this to hold as resistance. If we can get a break up above here, your next target will be that round number 67 even, which sounds a little bit ludicrous, but on the back of those Iran waivers, this is what can happen when you get news like that. So we are bullish at the moment. market structure is bullish, so expecting upside. If we do crack this level, like I said, we'll likely head into that 67, and your R2 here coming in at 67.10. So that could be potential targets for this session. Now let's switch over to SPOs here. And what you'll see is overnight, really, this was around 5 p.m. Globex Asia session. Even through the London session, you can see we opened up. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit more on this pivot chart here, get you the times a little bit clearer. Okay, there we are. Perfect. So that's what we're looking for. And what you can see here is our New York Open was right around this time here. So really between Asia and New York Open, we kind of sat between that pivot, held it as support here once, held it as support twice, 3, 4 times, pulled off of it here, and on the open, blasted up over your R1, 29.1933. So we'll just call it 29.20. Right above that, right above the R2, and we're currently trading right at the R3. So R3 is quite typically a reversal level. When you see a market trading into those kinds of extremes, if you're using pivots, that can generally signify overbought levels. R1 and R2 are still okay, but once you get into R3, that's really getting into the overextended, overbought phase, and could see a bit of a pullback here. However, one thing that I am cautious of is that we have our all-time highs on the SPOs here at the 29.47. And if I pull up my trading view chart here, let's see if I can get that for you guys. There's a trading view chart. And what you'll notice right away is this is our daily chart of the ES mini futures. This is a rolling contracts. Your all-time highs here were printed. We'll go to the weekly here. All-time highs were printed right here, 29.47 on September 21st, 2018. And we've seen a V bottom from there. This is likely the most hated rally in the industry. Everyone was expecting this to go short, but lo and behold, market proves everyone wrong, and it's continuing ripping towards the all-time highs. So we definitely see these all-time highs in the scope, in the sights of the buyers, and we're anticipating it trading here really before we break to new highs or before we break back down and reverse. So this will be a key line in the sand here. I don't expect it to be a quick break, but I do expect us to get in and around that level and start to battle. So with that said, we are about, let's leave this here. Jumping back on the charts, we are about 10 points away from that, currently trading around 29.38. So 29.47 is that all-time high. We'll see if that gets hit today. Like I mentioned, we are around the R3, which is a little bit overextended traditionally. So expecting a bit of a pullback here, and later throughout the week, expecting really a pullback here, maybe into the R2s, some consolidation overnight, and during Globex, I would expect to see the first run, rather the first attempt by the bulls to try to push this thing back up into all-time highs for the remainder of the week. So let's jump onto our 10-tick chart here, guys, on both crude and S&P 500, and have a quick gander at some levels that might be of interest to us into the latter end of the session. So what you're seeing here, there is our pit open on crude oil. Let's make this thing a little bit thicker. Yep, there we go. So there's our pit session here on pit open rather on crude oil. You can see we sold off, came right into this zone here, couldn't quite breach that overnight low at the 58s. And this level right here is also our 5-day volume profile point of control. So you can see found some support in there overnight. This is where we made our low, bounced up on the pivot open. We rotated back down into that, held that level as support, and we had a drive higher up into those 68.25s, right above that overnight high at the 66.19. Saw a little rotation, shallow rotation lower here, and you can see we had the VWAPs cross here. The black VWAP is your pit session VWAP. This one starts tracking the volume weighted average price as of pit open, 9 a.m. Eastern. And you've got your Globex VWAP here. This one starts tracking really from 6 p.m. Eastern and into the current session. So We can expect this purple one to be a little bit slower than the black one, simply because there is more data going into that, which is weighing it down. And you're seeing them kind of spread open like this as the market is moving higher. We've come up into that 66.60 level, had one rotation, two rotations, three rotations, sold off, came back into those 62.20s. So what we're watching for here now is a potential move back down into that zone, into that pit view app, overnight high here around the 66.20s. Watch for some rotations and a potential continuation back up into those 66.60s, and maybe even into those 67s. It's a bit of an extended target for the session, but with crude, we've got another 2 hours or so until the pit session close, and we'll be watching for a little rotation back down into those 20s, pick it up, potentially push it up there. We do have a nice pit close fade trade that we tend to track in the room, and so that's all I'm going to leave you guys with there. But we'll watch for that as well. If we are within 30 cents of that round number coming into the last 10-15 minutes of the session, we could look to potentially try the pit fade. Alternatively, if we do get back below these 20s, bless you, Georgie, we get back below these 20s, could see us pressing back down here into the previous day highs at 66. Our Globex View app is there as well, and you can see we've got a stack of bids sitting there at the moment as well. So just might see this thing push a little bit lower, but still we are making higher lows and higher highs, and we'll watch for that level as well to hold as support. That's really going to be our line in the sand here. If it does get back below, this will be your next level to watch out for, your previous day close and overnight lows. I don't really see that happening today since the trend is still quite bullish. And so those are really the levels to watch out for. Your initial ones here at the 66.20s. Look to see if we can trade that pit view app, hold it as support, and then push higher. If not, we'll be looking to qualify something around those previous day highs. So long is the right side today, looking to buy dips as the market continues to make higher lows and higher highs. And as far as the SPOs are concerned, let's open this sucker up here. You can see we've been quite a nasty range over the last week or so. Pulled back down below that round number of 2,900. That was a big level the previous couple of weeks. You can see we had a level I've mentioned quite often here. You had 1, 2, 3, 4 tests of it, broke out here on your 5th test, and then we had a couple of rotations here. There was your first rotation, a couple of rotations there, and we had our nice little stop run right into that zone, pushed up higher, came back into it, couldn't quite break back below, and now you're seeing rotations off of that level back up into new highs, broken above those previous highs in those 20s. Now, like I mentioned, we have caught a nice bid on today's session. There we go. Caught a nice bid on today's session. You can see this almost a vertical rip here. And so getting on this long train up here, don't very many people will be looking to do that. So I am expecting a bit of a pullback. Like I said earlier, you've got your all-time high sitting almost within 10 points of current price here. We're trading at 37.5. Our all-time highs are at the 47s. And so this was a really extended move. I don't see it quite popping up to there in today's session. Could be wrong. Happens quite often, to be frank, but we're not in the business to be right. We're in the business to make money, and that's what we're going to be looking to do here. So what are your potential pullback levels? Well, I'm seeing a lot of bids right around this zone here, the 35s to the 34s, and you can see here we've had quite a nice cluster of support on the 5-day volume profile. And you're seeing as well here a nice cluster of resistance. So currently finding some resistance in this zone. And so let me draw out another zone here for you guys, which we can look to qualify something potentially is right around these 32s. And let's extend that up here. So that is what we can look for here to potentially qualify a long, is a pullback really into this zone here. Watch some consolidation and potential rip higher. So that's what we're going to be watching for here for the remainder of the session. Again, long is the right side, but be cautious with that being said, simply because we are at over 3, which typically represents a overbought condition in the market. And just looking at this, you can see this straight rip up 29.24 right into those 29.40s without really any pullbacks. So that to me looks like it's going to lead to a pullback, which is going to lead to some consolidation. And like I said, if we do get that consolidation, I will be anticipating the buyers to step in overnight and potentially try to press this thing, maybe back up to above these 40s. And so I anticipate the buyers coming in and setting us up tomorrow, or rather for the rest of the week, for a pop into those all-time highs. So that's what we'll be watching for here in the Trade Pro Academy room. And that's what we've got for today's morning update. The last order of business here is to take a quick peek at our TRADEPRO Performance Index. So the reason that we do this, guys, is to show you how our community does on a daily basis. And so in doing so, we like to track the performance of our community members, both on a live and a demo basis. But for the purposes of this, we show you guys our live results because that's what really matters at the end of the day. And as I drag this into screen here, here is what you will see is that for today's date, April 23rd, you've got 73.91% of the team was green, 52.17 were up. Flat was almost 22%, and 26% were down on the session. So overall, great result. Nice bounce back from the last couple of days. You can see it was a bit tough going into the end of last week, beginning of this week, but our trade pros bounced back. And if you take a look right up here, up to April 1st, you'll see we've had a nice green streak going, and this really speaks to the community that we've built within Discord and within our day trading room. And what you're seeing here, guys, is that the knowledge is being applied and that it is possible to day trade in these live markets. We like to call ourselves unicorns in the channel because day trading is supposed to be impossible based on what the financial media says these days due to algorithms and all that fun stuff. But you can never replace human traders completely, and TradePro has proven that here as far as results go. So that's going to be it for me today. You guys have your zones to watch out for on the SPOs and on crude. You guys have your market sentiment for the remainder of the session. There's nothing really planned as far as scheduled events. So like I said, keep an eye out for the technicals. Those will lead the way. And again, make sure to have a new squawk handy, especially if you will be day trading, just in case there are any wire bombs, or rather tape bombs. You'll be up to date there and you can adjust accordingly. So with that said, guys, good luck and good trading for the remainder of the session. We'll catch you tomorrow. If you will be trading, make sure to follow the 3 rules. Stay patient, stay diligent, and stay disciplined. This is Mark from TradePro Academy headquarters here in Toronto, Ontario, wishing you a lovely remainder of the session. Have a good one, guys. Take care.